We're in that shoulder period like right now, where in the summer, the patrol does their normal function. The same thing that happens in the 7 to 3 shift, it's the same thing that happens in the overnight shift. But we're in the period right now where Chris, the site supervisor, is spending probably half of his shift at the gatehouse now, not servicing anything else on the rest of the community through the regular patrols because of the amount of volume that's there.
When they report back, what incidents are you seeing during the day that would prevent them from helping at the gatehouse?
That's where I'd have to get with Chris and look in the computer system and run through exactly
So next
the
month
history of
you're gonna
calls.
tell
us.
Yeah, I can give you that as an action item. To
Okay.
be honest, I just haven't
Go to
researched it
Bob.
myself.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put that off until
Okay.
December. Ron, do we need, so you're gonna be passing this
Yeah, I'm
on
gonna,
to Tony?
yeah, we'll get, there's a couple of things that were brought up here that will make a couple of changes here, minor ones. And with you guys' permission, once that's done, we'll forward that on to Tony for his review.
Good.
Depending on what,
Okay, well, I take it.
how that takes, how
Okay.
long, and what his comments might be.
Okay, so I think the consensus of the committee is you can pass that on. The consensus of the committee also is that we will hire this extra help unless there's some reason, if Matt comes back to us, so if there's reason to change that decision. Nancy, you're the one who doesn't believe it's viable.
And I'm only one of 7, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, but I just
No,
didn't
yeah.
see a lot of benefit
Well, of
from
course
it.
it matters.
Well, I mean, if we had a vote, I'm only one of 7, so it's not gonna matter. But my concern is, when I talk to residents, they tell me that they're not getting, like, anything they call for, they're pretty much told that's not our job. So if they're being told that, my question is, when is something the job of that roving patrol enough that it's gonna take them away? Instead of giving that response,
More
it's not
importantly,
my
if they're
job.
voicing that to you, would they write it to you so we can present it to them?
Sure.
Well, and that's something I wanted to bring up at the president's meeting, and will in the next meeting or two. We need to start documenting, because
Yeah.
I have so many people come up to me and tell me things, and I can tell you, I stood at the gate a couple of Sundays ago because it was still dark on a Sunday morning, and the exit arm was up. So I stopped to question. While I'm standing there talking to her, she waved somebody right through without looking at their driver's license. And I stopped him, I said, wait a minute, stop. She needs to see your license. And he says, oh, I come in here a couple of times a week. My response was, so what? That doesn't mean you're authorized to come in here, just because you're coming in. He was waving her right in. In our conversation this morning, a Gateway employee here, who has a parent in Pelican, says they never look at his stuff, they just wave him right through. So they're not,
If they got a parent, why don't they have a barcode? If you got a
because they don't
parent,
live there.
But if it's my guess, it's frequent, they can either get a barcode or be on a
Well,
permanent
they've
list.
got the pass, but it's so worn out, there's no barcode on it, and he said one day they pretended they were scanning a barcode that didn't exist. And that was something I just heard today from somebody that works here. at Gateway.
Without documentation, there's nothing we can do directly.
Well, and that's why I said, I would like to bring up at the president's meeting, maybe, that each of us
Specifics.
take responsibility
Yes.
for our neighborhood and say,
If-
when you
if-
have a specific that we can come to you with.
Right.
Well,
Because, I mean, what I told you just now, I observed personally.
Sure, yeah.
What this person told me this morning, or sitting right here in Gateway, he observed personally many times that they're waving him through. So, I guess my concern is, should we pay for an extra person if the one there isn't
Well,
doing his job?
the extra person would then allow us to have 3 people at the gate, right?
In theory.
Well,
In theory.
some of the conversation that we're having is, we have a patrol
Yeah.
that we've decided over time is something we want to do 24/7 through Pelican Preserve.
That is correct.
And the idea of what we're discussing is we're taking the person off of patrol for multiple hours a day and saying, we don't actually need patrol, we just need a gatehouse done. That's a much larger question for Pelican Preserve to say, why do we do patrol? Right? And so if there's value in patrol, there is always value in that person being out and about in the community, hitting their checkpoints, doing it, as opposed to posting
And
at
that
the
is
gatehouse.
exactly why we authorize the other person, because
Right.
we found value in the patrol.
Right. And so in the same way right now in the shoulder season, if they're spending 4 hours of their shift up there, are we okay with that? That that's what we're doing right now in the shoulder season before the secondary person is that busiest time of the day, say the 8 to 4 time period, we're just not doing much patrol, we're just not being out in the community much.
Well, I think, Matt, I think what we need is answers to the questions that Nancy has brought up, and, you know, maybe there's an argument to be made to actually expand the time that we have.
Yeah, start in December.
To start in December or November, if that's a value, you know, if you can get some answers to that.
Sure.
And I'm not opposed to adding person, I just wanna know the people there are doing their job
Yeah.
first.
And one of the things that's really gonna be beneficial is that right now, all we have is hearsay. And we have cameras that can see interactions. Within a very short window now, Chris, Scott, myself will have audio that we can go to. So we can then hear from your resident, hear from the person in the thing, say what date and time. We can go back and look and see that interaction. And I can spot check overnights, and I can spot check 11 p.m., and I can spot check all
And
this
see
stuff
where they're
because
at.
we'll have audio, and we can go back and say, okay, I hear that this guy Mixon on Saturday mornings isn't that good of an officer. But I'm not around on Saturday, but I can do spot checks now because I can hear audio from his interactions. It'll help us be able to better manage our staff. And hopefully that'll help us have accountability then, because I can sit down with an audio recording.
Right.
Say, this is what you actually did. They'll
Right,
tell
and-
me you
and-
get an ID
And
every
Scott
time.
and I had that conversation earlier today,
Yeah.
that just having that available is going to make them more accountable.
Sure,
And
yeah.
it might.
It's like a body cam.
It might
Yeah.
increase their awareness and doing the job better, just knowing that there are these
Yeah.
things you can do. And plus Scott told me you have GPS on the car now, so you can
Yeah.
tell when they're actually patrolling, when they're
Yeah.
not patrolling.
Yeah.
So we just need to make sure those things are being monitored. So
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, if there's a benefit, I'm not opposed to paying to have it done. I just wanna make sure the people there are doing their job before we add more people to
Yeah.
maybe not do their job.
You know, I'd just like to comment that obviously getting the discipline in at the gate has been a continuing problem. And it is difficult, and it's difficult for, you know, given what those people are paid and that kind of thing, it's tough for Securitas, and they need to keep looking at it, we need to help them keep looking at it, so let's assume that we'll do that. So Matt, anything else to report to us?
Don, those were the 2 big points.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate your time, guys.
Scott, do you have further items?
You need to stick around.
No, I'm good. Just a couple of items. In your packet that I sent to you was just a document that I'm gonna need Phil to sign, a final acceptance submittal for the NVR, the network video device that we had installed. This is just to confirm that it has been installed and it is working properly, which it is doing. So that's a formality, Phil. The other item is a budgeted item that has already been approved, but the amount of the invoice required me to bring it to you to let you know, and it's for our annual flowers that were just planted, and for the main entrance inside, the 4-way stop and along the main drive throughout Pelican Reserve was $10,254. They might say that's a lot of money to spend on flowers, and it is. But there were 3,600 flowers planted in those areas. So it comes down to about $2.50 on the low end and $3.35 for the nicer flowers. So there you have it. And
I think we budgeted about
you did, yeah.
40,000.
Yeah, 40,000, but the only reason I'm bringing was this portion of the planting exceeded 10,000, so I need to notify you, although it's budgeted, so.
We don't need to have any kind of a motion on that.
No, you do not.
That's fine.
No, you do not.
Okay.
And I will be sending you a proposal on a palm tree, which is right at the bullnose as you pull onto Veneto.
That's on here already.
It's in the packet.
Oh, it is in the packet? Did I leave it in there? Okay.
6208,
Yes,
yes, that's in the packet.
okay. I was gonna send it to you, but that is something that you can look at going forward. I never knew there was a palm tree there, and only one resident has complained that it wasn't replaced. But these palm trees are anywhere between $2,500 and over $6,000. So if it wasn't noticeable for that period of time, I don't know if it's a good purchase. I mean, that's why I bring it to you. It's a non-budgeted item.
I would ask the members of the committee, when you go by that intersection, take a look and see whether you think we need a palm tree.
Yeah,
Look and see what's missing.
yeah, describe
Did you
again
notice?
which.
Matter of fact, on this one, I'll bring this to you. This one actually has a marking on the map of the exact placement of the palm tree.
It's located at the intersection of Veneto and
Yes.
Missouri Boulevard.
Correct.
I don't remember a palm tree ever being there.
Oh, I
Oh,
do.
that's-
This is a big one.
Yes. And you'll see the other two big ones on the satellite picture. You'll see them from above, but there we go. There's a red dot where the prior palm tree was located, and that'll be your third page.
Okay, I just asked members of the committee to take a look at this and see whether you think we ought to do it.
And that's why I brought it to your attention, because I needed you to look at the location to see if there's value in spending that kind of money.
Okay.
With the rate,
Do you get to vote? You can actually have your opinion, but it'll be up to them.
could we look at other options that would not be quite so expensive if we decide?
Well, there's two options in the new
Okay.
packet, but it still comes to, if you put a tree in there too small, it's gonna look funny,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
The one for 6,200 is a tree that's gonna match but be slightly smaller.
So the option one here is a 15-foot palm tree, am I reading that correctly?
No,
One's 20.
one's 20 feet, and that's the jewel.
That's the
That'll match the other
$6,000.
palms. And the other one is a 25-foot Sylvester palm.
Oh.
And that's about
And it's
half the
only
And,
price.
and it's half the price, but another thing is unless you're a palm tree expert, it's gonna be close. You're not gonna be able to tell too much of a difference between the two species.
They're both very nice palms.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'll leave it up to you, and you can let me know in December.
Let's bring that back in
Yes.
December, Scott.
I want you to all have a chance to look at it.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's all I have, unless you have something
Any
for me.
questions of Scott?
Question?
Yes, Nancy?
Where do you stand on Portofino sidewalks?
Portofino sidewalks?
Yes, the
Oh, you
last-
mean where all that orange paint is?
It's wearing away.
Oh, I know that, and I wanted to have it that weathered look.
Very attractive.
Yeah,
You
it's
got it.
very attractive. And the problem is finding a vendor. I had 5 concrete vendors, the project was too small. I was able to secure a vendor so I could take care of some stonework on one of our bridges and to grind and replace those areas. So I would anticipate that the sidewalks will be done the second week in December.
Well, wait a minute, you're still now only talking about grinding them down now, right?
No, replacement too.
Replacement.
Yes, the ones that can be ground and aren't gonna pose a trip hazard, they will be ground down. The other ones will be replaced, because some of them have already done some pre-grinding.
Yeah.
Those are coming out,
Okay, good.
so. And then the stone facade repairs, that is probably gonna come later in December, because we have to come up with the right adhesive. There's been many changes to how you attach stone to masonry, and they used to use thin set, and now there's an adhesive that they use, so that's gonna take a little bit longer.
Scott, when I talked to you earlier, today, we also want the sidewalks clean. If the HOA contracts to clean it before you replace and fix and grind, et cetera, are we better off waiting until you're done with fixing it?
You know, I don't think it's gonna matter.
It doesn't matter?
Because if
Okay,
you
'cause we'd like
clean
to-
it, if you clean it now, it's gonna be clean, but it's still gonna be a different color than the new concrete going in.
Okay, no, my other
Yeah.
point was the markings, do you know exactly where they are?
Yes.
Okay.
We
so-
took pictures of them, so. I don't know if the paint, I don't know if the pressure washing is gonna take off the paint.
I don't think
It's
so.
wearing off pretty well now, anyway.
Yeah, it's coming off.
Yeah.
I should forewarn you that you're gonna hear from Jim Price and Aviano that they have some sidewalks too.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we'll take a look at that and, we'll address it accordingly.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks,
You're
Scott.
welcome.
Any more questions, Scott? Scott, thank you very much. Item 7, Cypress Grove revised estimate. This is just to say that between Nancy and Joe, they were able to do quite a bit to get the cost of the new landscaping and the upgraded landscaping on Cypress Grove. And the bill for doing that knocked down by a total of about $13,000. So it cost us just a little under $37,000 to get that done. That was good work.
When will it be done, anybody know?
Scott is you're issuing a purchase order for Ameriscape to start that Cypress Grove landscaping?
Yes, it's, the deposit invoice was sent to me and it has been submitted for payment.
When will the work be done, is the question, have a time frame?
I don't have the time frame yet.
Okay. This calendar year?
I should know more next week and I can always email that to all of you.
Been trying for this calendar year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
The authority for pre-expenditure approvals, Tony decided that that required a resolution of the board, and he will be bringing that to the board at the upcoming
There weren't any objections?
November 15th, but there are no objections. That it will go through the authority reason. Prado sidewalk, Jody, you want to give us just a very brief?
Very brief, the city inspector put his foot down and told them to build it like it looked across the street. They built it differently, he made them rip it out. The owner of the company came over, he's cussing at the homeowners, he's cussing at the city supervisor or the inspector, and they're building it the right way. And the
Good.
first one should be done today, and the residents that live there, for the first time in 4 days, will be able to get their vehicles out of the garage.
Good job.
It's indicative of, I think we're seeing this everywhere, and Bob, you're gonna talk about a couple of these things, indicative of some of the, how.
Can I make one more comment? I would like to send a letter to the city thanking that inspector, because it was he alone that really pushed, he made this happen for us. And I had Gail Anthony and Saeed working with us on this. But this guy did a fabulous job, and he put his foot down, he told that guy, and he told him, Norm, hold it this way or I won't pass it, period.
Taking the look, huh?
Yeah, if it's a consensus of the committee, Joe, you wanna?
I'll put one together
Put a
and-
letter together?
I'll send it to Diane and let you all look at it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's move on. GSCDD meeting report. You all got the report. Any questions about it? There are actually 2 reports in the package of the last 2 meetings. There are no questions on that. Those will move on. Are there any questions? We'll move on. Ponds Work Group report. Mr. Gebbers, you're on.
Okay, you got a couple things. First, this doesn't have anything to do with bonds, it's a jump to safety and security. But the cops are in the building. As I predicted I would get a ticket, and by God, I got one.
You got one, good.
You did it.
Where was this?
For speeding on, Pelican, you could've got it anywhere. I
Was it warning?
Warning.
I
And
will
told
give
me,
you-
Was that your golf cart?
oh no. And it was 44 for 30, and I asked him, I said, how am I doing? He said, you're not even in the top 10. So there's people going a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, you're the one guy that got the warning because everybody else got a
Got
ticket.
tickets.
They reported that.
No, he-
Well, I told him,
You were
I
on the
said, I'm on the
45,
board
that's
that just hired you, and now you're giving me a ticket?
The fellow who ran the president's council meeting, they said he got the ticket.
Good, he must have been higher than me. But anyway, that was a little humorous. On a more serious, we got a note from a resident out in Pistoia on Pond 55, which is between Pistoia and the golf course, that Lennar only took the sod so far, and the last 10, 20 feet down to the water level, they had nothing but weeds. And I thought, Nah, it can't be. So I wrote out, every single home was built that way, every single home. It's nothing but weeds. So anyway, we're taking that on and we will get that addressed because that is not in conformance with the drawings and the plans and the permit criteria.
I thought Scott said.
Scott said that that's.
I have an update.
Yeah, Scott has an update
Oh, okay.
on that, which he reported. at-
Well, I knew it wouldn't stand, but whatever, yeah.
Sometimes this happens, ponds and lakes gets involved, then I get involved. Basically, we got complaints from a homeowner 3 weeks ago. So when I went out there, it wasn't the way it was supposed to be, and I'm sure Lennar knew it too. We've gone and spoken with land development, with building, and I did speak to David Caldwell about it too. So everyone is aware of it, and
Well,
they
if you
don't
got
know
anything
why.
to do with ponds, keep me in the loop because I contacted all the very same people, not knowing. you
Yeah,
guys were involved.
and I did not know that you were going to
If
do
it's got
that.
anything to do with water in the ponds, we got it.
Yeah.
But it's fixed, it'll be fixed.
Yeah, it will be fixed. It's, building wanted to put it off on the master, and I said, no, we're not gonna put in irrigation, we're not gonna put in turf, and you have to take care of the weeds.
It's the same as every other, and they have, it's not conforming to our permit criteria.
And they know that, and they don't know why it happened, because normally in home building, when they complete the home, they extend the floor tan down to the high water mark. Well, they didn't do it on any of the homes. It's a mess.
Agreed. Same thing
So,
with all.
yeah.
So it was built out of conformance, and okay.
They know, and they're addressing it.
Okay, we were asked to do a review of the gateway ponds by the board, which
Yeah.
I did. I included a copy in here. I got a very strong rebuttal today from Mr. Tinkle, took
You did.
exception to everything.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
But
so
he was part of the review, part of the.
Yeah, but we agreed to disagree.
Yeah, he was part of the team that went on.
You know, if there is,
Yeah.
in the gateway mindset, and this is okay, because it's not our money,
Yeah.
there's only one way to do it. Armor Max,
Mhm.
$150 a foot. Okay, we gave them some ways they could do it for $30 a foot. They don't want to do it, that's fine. But he presents it as though they have no choice in the matter but to go with the expensive way.
Yeah, that somehow South Florida,
But, you know,
South Florida is,
But see, that's, okay, there's so many, but it's not us, so I don't get into it.
yeah.
South Florida hasn't cited them for anything. But they've already spent $8 million, they're gonna spend all $25 million. I say, God love them, go for it. Okay. Downspouts in Prado. The downspouts by design criteria manual in Prado and Pasoya must be buried in the ground. Forget about the extra one we're asking for, but I mean just the basic. If they're on a pond, it's gotta be in the ground, it's gotta go to the pond, it's gotta be in there 10 feet. You know, there's a whole lot of gotta be's. In Prado, sometimes they hit it, sometimes they didn't. There's so much variability that I wrote a letter to Tetra Tech and to Chris said, okay, we need to have an audit. I did it just, you know, probably a third of them were wrong, where they just didn't do it, don't know why. So I got a letter on one home that started the inquiry, and Russell Smith said they would fix that home. But then I realized this is much greater than one home. So I'll keep you on that saga as we go forward.
Again, all these things are just indicative of. they're not-
The
they're
slipshod
not-
method in which they built.
that- Yeah, they don't watch their subcontractors.
That is exactly
They're not
correct.
checking on.
They don't check.
It's on the, when I was doing all this work on the driveway, I found that on the construction drawings. The city inspectors that should be part of their checklist before they approve that property for occupancy.
I've never taken it to the city, any opportunities
Well,
we should do it.
I would suggest maybe we get a hold of the city code folks and tell them this is on the drawing and not being done and let them go after Lennar.
Well, it'll all be done, but yeah, okay, that's another methodology and another, advocate that we can get. I agree with that. And I'll try and forward it. We'll talk afterwards.
I'll
Let
get
me
you a
know.
copy of the drawing.
Give me the guy. The Lennar downspouts, the famous downspouts we're paying $480 with. We finally got a list of homes they're going to do it on, but as I sit here now, they haven't done it once. But sooner or later, I got faith that they're gonna do it, because I am an optimist. Next but not least, there are two, this will be falling into Scott's bailiwick. We have two zones that are not conservation areas within Pelican. One of them is in Camarel or Milan, it's a little circular area. and the other is out in Palazzo, between the homes of Palazzo and the golf course. Neither one of those areas are within our woods and wetlands contract because they are not conservation areas. So up until now, somebody's been paying to have it done. But I made it very clear to Woods and Wetlands that it's not going to be us. So in talking to Scott, he is now taking it on that he is going to notify those two communities that it's not part of the master. And I'm not sure where it's gonna fall, whether the HOA is gonna keep paying for it, or more properly, in my own humble opinion, the homeowners that benefit from that. Because there's no reason that they can't go in there and keep it clean. It's not a conservation area. So they can do whatever they want in there. They can put grass or, take all the trees down. There's no law protecting those zones. So I don't know where that's all
So you're
gonna end up.
suggesting that the local condos.
Well, I'm just
local
saying, we're not,
HOAs or
it's
condo
not
associations.
CDD because it is not a wood and wetland and a conservation. It is something else.
Mhm.
So Chris won't get a bill for it, we won't get a bill for it. And I don't think there's money in the HOA budget to do it going forward. I know they've been covered.
We didn't budget it for 2019.
So somehow that should be reconciled, just for the
Yeah.
future. And I just wanted you guys to know about it, so if you hear about it. And last but not least, there's something I'm researching relative to ponds and littorals, and which takes precedent, a DRI for a community or Lee County code. Because we have one document that says you must have 20%. That's the Lee County code of littorals, and there's another that says, oh, my DRI says none. I don't know which has the legal standing to be.
Tony ought to be able to answer that question.
Well, it's a relatively recent thing, and part of it came up because of what's going on in Gateway, where they have some communities where they don't want littorals. But again, that's up to the board, I'm just passing that along as a item of interest. Because they're all complaining about the current $94 state revolving loan fee. And if the communities are gonna watch themselves, they're gonna find that to be $254 a year, very, very quickly, and maybe greater. So again, it doesn't fall on us, it's information only. But if they continue along the path that they're on, it's gonna be quite expensive for the gateway communities. And that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions of Bob? Safety and Security Work Group, just a couple of things here. We already got into the post orders, which is kind of involved with safety and security. The Veneto Road is going to be resurfaced at some time. It's now in the permitting phase. It was announced this morning at the President's Council that they're going to resurface the parking lots at the town center. And after that work is done, they're going to be resurfacing all of Veneto, and will include a double stripe down Veneto. Which is one of the things that the Safety and Security Work Group had recommended, and Lennar in this case stepped up and said they're going to do it. After that's done, it's our plan to look at the possibility of turning the Veneto-Vicenza intersection into a three-way stop. Currently, there's only one stop sign there coming out of Vicenza. We're looking at making it stop signs both ways.
Do we have to do a traffic study to do that?
Huh?
Do you think people
Well, I
will
didn't know
stop?
it was controversial.
What?
Do you think people will stop?
Well,
They'll slow down.
Nancy, any of these things will, hopefully will slow people.
Slow people down at least.
Slow people down. I mean, part of the reason of putting in the double stripe is because people will go whisking past each other, you know. They see a golf cart and they're out in the other
And they're out in
lane.
the other
The
lane.
the heart of my question was, can we just put a stop sign anywhere you want it, or you have?
Oh, no, we have to get city, we will have to get a
The
city.
city has to approve it.
City has to approve
Do
it.
we have to fund the traffic study for that? or-
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we do,
Okay.
but if we, I don't know, we'll have to find out, but that's.
So that's our plan, that's the direction we want.
That's the
Okay.
direction we're moving on it, but we wanted to, when we found out that Lennar was willing to do the double striping, which was part of it, and apparently they have gotten permission from the city to do that
Somehow.
somehow, so.
But they wouldn't fund the sign?
Huh?
They didn't want to put in the stop signs?
They would, no, they would not fund it.
Appalled at the stop signs.
As a follow-on to Mr. Gebhart's comments about the patrols in here, just to give you a few statistics, we have had 3 days of patrols, so 12 hours. Those are four-hour shifts. They have given 1 ticket and four warnings for people blowing through stop signs.
I didn't do that.
You didn't do that one?
He didn't catch me there.
They have given 2 tickets and 1 warning for no vehicle registration, interestingly enough. They've given 1 ticket for no insurance. Got that?
Well, how would they know that?
Well, they must have
They
stopped.
stopped it for
They
some
stopped the
reason.
people.
I guess I'll
Instead
show
of
you
giving them a
ID
speeding
insurance.
ticket.
Yeah. And they have given 4 tickets and 1 warning for speeding. And I'd like to commend Don Bickle, who is sitting in the back row there. He's our guy who is coordinating this thing and made all the arrangements. And we think it's working well.
What were the fines? What's the speeding fine, you know, Don?
I'm not sure what it is for Fort Myers.
Okay. Dodged a bullet.
That's
If you had been 46, you would have got the
So,
speed.
Bob, you're gonna just stay with the golf cart now, not the car.
I can't afford to drive.
The question was asked this morning at the President's Council, will they pick up people on golf carts? Now, golf carts,
I'll let you know next month.
same rules. They have to abide by the same rules as, by the way, do the bicyclists, who are the worst offenders.
Oh, absolutely the
As far
worst.
as going through the stop
Stop
signs.
signs, nobody's.
Better intended.
But the likelihood that the police will try and enforce either golf carts or bicycles is small.
They've said in the past that they wouldn't do
It's
that.
awfully difficult for a bicycle to stop.
Finally, not at this Thursday's meeting, but at the following meeting, I intend to bring forth the amendment.
Oh, my God. I'm glad he left.
I'm glad he left too.
Whatever could this be?
The amendment to the golf cart rules is going to be coming up.
Yeah.
I've already.
Is it our plan to keep bringing it up until finally they'll pass it? Just
No,
ask it.
this is it.
Okay, 'cause it's scuttled it
What-
3
what-
times.
what I- Well, the problem was the last time, I very foolishly brought it up as a quote reconsideration. And it turned out for a reconsideration, the person who originally voted against the amendment has to do something now. Tony suggested, I bring it up as an amendment, and then this complication is.
Are you taking odds on success?
Huh?
Because I'd like to make a few bucks.
Oh, you do?
Are you giving odds?
Anyway,
Okay.
I feel, at least because of this committee, of the Safety and Security Work Group, the President's Council, everybody is behind this. I feel it's incumbent upon us to bring it forward.
Thank you for not bringing it forward sooner as a campaign manager.
Yes. That's all for Safety and Security Work Group, unless anybody has any questions.
I have one last thing on that item, I think. I'm talking about the speed bumps in the reserve, and looking for the answer is, and it's a simple question,
Yeah.
did Lennar have the right to put them on the path that were not theirs?
Look at that.
All right, I looked into that. And is it, and I think I mentioned this, is it something we should?
It's a simple question.
Well,
Did they have the right?
all right, if they did.
Without a judgment of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Let's assume they didn't.
Assume what?
Let's assume they did not have the right to do that.
Okay.
What would PPAC do? I think it's a minor issue at this point, that there are so many major issues with Lennar that it isn't worth to pursue the minor ones.
Well, except for the people that object to it. And apparently a fair number of people that objected to Terry. That's how I get it. I don't really give a rip. But when they were put in, there was a lot of people that were upset that they're there.
But they
My-
did-
My understanding is that they've lowered them.
They have lowered them.
I have not been
Well,
there.
I don't know that they did or
beginning.
didn't, but yeah.
I've been
They
there
did.
since then.
They have
and
lowered
It's
them.
not a
Well,
problem.
because they don't
taken
think
the
they have a
issue.
choice. maybe.
Well, they accepted the complaints and they did lower them.
They're just a little blip now.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's minor.
So they didn't have the right to do it.
Well, I agree with you, but I agree with
And that was the question, did they have the right to do it?
Who
The
asked
answer
them
is
to
no.
do it? Who asked them
Sienna.
to do it?
Probably Sienna.
Sienna.
There was no problem. It
Sienna
was,
asked them to do it, it was part of the agreement with
Yes,
Sienna.
it was part of the agreement to get an agreement with Sienna.
and if they built it, the bumps in the Sienna property, I have no issue. But they didn't. They put it in the main, and I think that's wrong. But, okay, but you answered my question. They didn't, they're installed it properly. They didn't have the right to do it.
And they did lower them per the request of many of the residents, and I don't think there's been that many.
No, they were not lowered at the request. They were lowered because they were built improperly.
Okay.
It was a standard. I talked to Caldwell at length about it. They first built them improperly, and then went back and made them proper. Okay. Now it's a question whether we want to address it or not. Whether we have-
I think there is, I mean, this is something that you seem to feel.
Well, I'm not advocating, because people ask me about it. I got involved in it when Terry got there. And my only question was, did they have the right to do it or not?
Hmm.
And apparently, I'm hearing now they didn't have the right to do it. Now, do we want to pursue it or not? That's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
I think most people have gotten used to it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's a precedent.
Do
I
we
mean,
just
my
leave it?
point was if Lennar, WCI, said they owned it, then great, I'm all about it. Let them fix the damn bridges.
Yeah.
Don't put that cost on us. But you can't have it both ways. You can't not want to do something when it needs repair, but just to make somebody happy, oh, okay, we'll build that. That's not right.
So
we just
what,
need to do a letter to them?
if we are going, how would you suggest that we pursue them? Get them
Just
to-
take 'em out.
Get them to take them out?
At least one of them, I mean, two of them, because the one is on the old.
The other is
Sienna property.
questionable.
I have no problem. Well, I assumed that it was. I haven't seen it on. Well, that's something we want to do or not, I mean, for the guy with the belt sander out
We
there.
could tell them we're very happy with them if they build the bridges for us.
We would be.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I'd leave the band.
Oh, yeah, that's coming back. Well,
So I don't know.
yeah.
I'm just,
Anybody else who's excited about this? The consensus of the committee, Bob, I think, is that we've got a bigger fish to fry.
Let me ask a question. How soon do we expect Lennar to be out? The last numbers I saw, they're about 2,100, 2,200.
No, the figures announced at the President's Council this morning was that there's, and 2043, I believe, are closed,
Yeah.
although they had a higher number the last time.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I thought it was already 2051. In any event, they believe that by next August, they will have reached the 90%.
the two areas of construction that are gonna hold up build out are Palazzo
Yes,
and Casella.
yes,
Casella has 33 buildings to go, at 4 each.
yeah.
And Palazzo has at least 4, maybe 5. And I think there's 24 or 22
22,
dwellings per each.
that's correct.
So when you total that up, it comes in the neighborhood of 230.
Yeah.
So if you take 230 off of 2450, now you're looking at about, 2,200.
But all
But-
four
but-
buildings are under
but-
construction.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, but that having under construction and sold are two different
Well,
things.
understood, but the Palazzo buildings, they are, what they have told the committee that's looking into the transition of the HOA is that they project that by next August, they will be at.
August the 19th.
August of 19, they will be at the 2250 level.
Great.
Which is the 90% level. Now, if they're going at that speed, that says to me that they'll finish 2,500
Well, they're
by the middle of
gangbusters
2020.
in Fredo and Pistoia.
Oh, yes, they're going
Oh,
gangbusters
absolutely.
out
That's
there.
amazing. It's
But
going
that's what
on.
they're saying.
So Casella's a long way to go.
So
Literally.
the committee, the HOA committee is now looking at November 1st or December 1st as actually having of next year.
I was gonna bring this up later, but I'm on that committee and will
Yes.
be the liaison for PPAC. They are looking at November 1 for turnover. That's
Oh,
our goal.
19.
November 1, 2019 is our turnover. What I'll plan to do is give either verbal report, we had one meeting, it was just the initial kickoff meeting. There's another meeting next month, actually, November, a couple weeks. I will give either a verbal report or a physical written report if it in any way should be updated. on a
And in
monthly
my
basis.
mind, I'm interpreting turnover to mean we will have more seats on the HOA than the building.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
We
how
will
I-
own it.
We will
It's
have all
ours.
three seats.
We'll have all three
All
seats at
three
90%?
seats.
All three seats.
All
Do we ever
three
have
seats.
we have two, they have one?
We only have one now.
Right now, they have two, we have one.
That
I
is
thought it only
correct.
went to 2 seats at 90 and then
100%.
They were
They get
hoping,
three.
they were hoping to increase the seats, and they were,
From 3 to 5.
at first, we had, there was a meeting, and they said they agreed to it, this was last year yet, and then it was, no. But
Well,
right
what I
now,
thought
it's
it was,
one
is just what
person.
Nancy said. When we hit the 90%, we get 2 seats, they have 1. When it's 100%, we get 3 seats, but you told me something a little different. now.
Well, when it hits 90%, we're hoping that we can get the turnover done by November, and by November, we'll have all 3 seats. That's our goal. That is the goal of
We're
the
gonna have it
committee.
turned over before the homes are sold?
We can
Oh,
at
yeah.
90%, yes.
Yeah, at 90%.
Well,
The master gets turned
90%
over.
is when the transition occurs.
Right.
Actually, within 60 days, we have to start working on stuff
I
like that. So
thought they
we're
said we
we're
went
early.
from 1 member to 2 members and then to 3.
That's what I thought. Now I'm getting
That's what I
different
always heard
information.
David Caldwell say.
Whatever, Bill, we control it.
we'll control it at
Well,
90.
Well, that's why
We
that's
control
why
it
I
at
asked the
90%.
question. When we say control, what I thought was
Yeah.
control, we have 2 of the members.
And either
Two of the
way,
three.
it's fine. In fact, having them have a member there may be a good thing,
Yeah.
because then you can go to a guy directly, at least once a month, whatever the meetings are, and say, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
Why isn't Lennar doing that?
That really doesn't work.
Well, whatever, but you have someplace, somebody to
To
complain
your,
at.
to your question, that transition is supposed to occur, when we take over, it's supposed to occur November 1st.
November 1st, that
First
is
year
our
next
goal.
year.
That's our
So
goal.
it's a year from now.
So you're also working on the relationship between the PPAC and the new master association?
That will be part of that contract will have to be
Well-
relooked at.
Yes.
Because it could be,
Is he working on that?
it
Yes,
could
that
be
was
when we
good.
take it over, we, the HOA is taking over the house. This
Well-
may cease to exist.
That's my point.
We move
What-
those responsibilities back, yeah.
What should that relationship?
What's the best thing for the community?
Yeah,
Correct.
I agree.
I agree.
Absolutely agree.
Build ourselves out of a job, that's great.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Okay.
plan.
Before
That
we
should be our
go
goal.
off,
Except for you could always be in ponds,
And you gotta have the
the
hire.
rest of your life.
so are there any single-family homes left to be built? Or are
Sure.
they just all building?
No, in Casella, I mean, well,
Prado,
Casella.
Prado and
Prado and
Destroy
Destroy,
have
still-
single family.
Yeah,
There's still a fair number of
On
Ibis.
unbuilt sites,
Yeah.
Oh,
But they are
yeah.
building
Ibis,
like crazy.
but they are
Yeah.
building like crazy.
And most of them are to spec, they're not sold.
Well, see, that's the big
But they're
thing.
low, they keep lowering the prices
But
to
what they
sell
do,
them.
yeah, I mean, I think their modus operandi is throw
Get it
them
out.
Want to
out,
get them?
put them on the market, and if they don't sell, start marking them down till they go.
Well, like I say, there's 4 condos under construction, and at least 4 of the carriage homes.
Yeah.
I
Selling
think they're up to
simultaneously.
5 now. And they're selling quickly as they're,
That's the one thing I have no idea
Yeah.
how to
The only thing that'll slow them down is labor, I think. I mean,
well, I talked
Interest
to,
rates keep rising that way too.
I talked to a guy who is building a Pistoia, right near down by your sidewalk issue. His is, he bought, ground up, and he said they're hardly doing anything on his house because they're concentrating on the spec houses. They moved his completion date 3 times. He said, Lennar has moved his completion date back 3 times, because they'd rather work on the
On the
spec
specs,
houses.
yeah.
He's a done deal.
He can't run.
He
A
can't
spec
run.
home is something you can
Yeah.
sell, but if you're.
Yeah, so he's pretty frustrated. He says, now they're telling me the end of November, and his house isn't even done end of November. I looked at it, and it's probably 3 months away yet.
Well, I'll tell you, when they put their mind to it, they can really
They
work.
can move them quick.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Gateway attendance meeting schedule, I will attend the one on the 6th of December.
There isn't.
I have you for
There's
November
not
the
a-
15th.
There is no, huh?
I thought
November
you had asked me to go on the 6th.
I had November 15th as you.
Yeah, I will go to November, I will
Okay.
go to November 15th, and I'm gonna go to the one on the 6th, going because I want, so if you wanna go, that's fine.
Well, I don't have to.
Huh? And I'll do November 15th as well.
So which one did they just rope you in, December 6th?
No, he wants to go to 6th.
I'm
Sixth is
gonna go
filled.
to 6th.
And there's no meeting on the 20th.
Correct.
There is no meeting, they are not having a second meeting in December.
But we are having our meeting on the 13th. so-
Yes. Okay. And I guess at that meeting, we can look at the January schedule and see what people.
Okay, I can take it January.
Okay. Any committee member requests?
I have two comments. First of all, at the next meeting, I would like to discuss the landscaping between the Carina Circle and Migliero that's still controlled by Lennar, and they're doing nothing. I did have a conversation with Ameriscape, who said because they do most of the landscaping and they get the bad rap for anything that doesn't look good, they're actually cutting the grass, fertilizing a little bit. They're doing the bare minimum, but they're trying to make it look somewhat presentable because they don't want a bad reputation, even though it's not their responsibility.
Joe, why isn't that turned over? I thought it was turned over.
I have no idea why it hasn't been turned over. It's just, it's.
Matarita
one
3A is
little
the
strip.
only thing that I thought was
Well,
open.
Lennar told Ameriscape to cease working on there. Ameriscape isn't getting paid, so they're not gonna do anything other than what they think is helping to keep a reputation somewhat
Well,
relevant.
So this is,
Scott, you were involved with it to some degree. Am I mistaken now?
Not,
I mean, everything in that
You're-
section is
you're
just
talking
done.
about,
Scott, if you come up.
On Prado Drive.
Oh, Friday, you said.
I'm sorry, I said,
No, you said
I'm
Carina.
sorry, I didn't say, I said the Carina Circle and Migliero. I meant on Prado
Oh,
Drive in
yeah.
that one
Yeah,
section.
that's the
One
last
strip.
piece that has
Yeah.
not
That's
been.
part of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misled.
Okay,
you.
that is
Part
part of it,
part of
yeah.
Matarita 4.
Right.
So what we ought to be doing is, when it comes up for conveyance, we ought to be telling the board, hold their feet to the fire.
Well,
You know,
but-
because we got screwed on Cypress Grove,
Absolutely.
and I think we need to, at this, on this one, try and get the board to insist that they bring the thing up to standard.
Joe, send a note to Chris about the area concern.
Okay.
Chris, and you got one for me about what's going on with Pistoia and the lake banks. We'll make all of these contingent upon, when the conveyance comes up of the last Matarita lot, we're gonna say, no, not until these things are issued. So if you can start sending
Yeah.
that checklist.
Okay, and the last thing I have is, the other day, Kenny Hall from the CDD called me up, wanted to meet me out in Prado and show me some irrigation issues that he has. And he has requested the opportunity to come in and talk to us at our next meeting because there's a lot of water running down the street. The land hasn't been apparently landscaped properly. There's some potential to put some drains in to let that water run into the stormwater system to get it off of that section. The sidewalks are turning black, it's just an ugly, it's almost like a swamp. And he would like to talk to you because he thinks we're gonna have some very serious issues in that
Chris, can we
section.
can we take irrigation water in the ponds? I don't think we can.
It ends up there anyway.
Well, I know that, but I think somewhere in the back of my head, there's a specific prohibition against that.
Well, it's running in there anyhow, but it's running into the street gutter and then draining
Kenny will be
down.
more,
But he would like to just take the time to talk to us.
Familiar with the Yashunas, that lift station site there, and that whole common area drains over right onto it, crosses the sidewalk, and it just drains that way.
anything we can do to help Kenny is good people. So. Invite him next week.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll let him know.
Joe, one other thing, are you gonna start getting into the question of the reclaimed water?
Yes, I am, and I'm glad I had a note. I've talked to Ameriscape about that. They seem to have a great deal of knowledge of our entire irrigation system. And it's going to be a difficult task, but I also found out that Phil Rovner's been talking to people, and I'm concerned. Are we responsible for it, or is there some group he's associated with that's responsible for it?
That's us.
I think it's unclear, but I think it probably should be us. I mean, I think we need to take the ball and start moving.
Well, people I've been talking to have said, oh, Phil's contacted me, and I just wonder what he's doing.
Okay, let me talk to him.
Okay.
And,
But no, I'm ready to start running with it. I'm ready to put a letter together to David Caldwell, who said he would help us with that. I've talked to Ameriscape. I've talked to some folks that have been in the water industry in their careers, and they have some ideas, and I'd like to get your permission to put a work group together to start coordinating this.
And Rogner might be a,
Well,
good
let's,
resource. with
let's,
it.
let.
But it ought to be
let
headed
me-
by here.
Let me talk to Philip,
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
and if, that comes out that way, then.
yeah, because that's a community-wide issue, that's not a neighborhood
No.
issue. That's why I think it's more appropriate
Was
here.
he acting on behalf of the President's Council? by
No,
chance?
no, I'm not quite sure now, it may have to do with
Or the Alliance, or the?
with this transition committee,
That's what I'm thinking, it's a transition committee.
this transition committee, I suspect. But I
Well,
mean, I
we're
think-
not-
That isn't on the,
It's
that
a-
wasn't on there, but I could get it on there.
Huh?
I
It
mean,
wasn't on there.
I don't think the gray water issue or the transition
Well,
would, I mean,
well,
I'll talk to them about it.
Well, no, let me talk to Philip and see
Okay.
on what basis he's pursuing it.
Okay.
Better to have two people working than nobody. So-
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that
But
could
let's
be a
get it
good thing for
organized.
Yeah,
the
but
turnover
we need to
committee.
have
Yeah,
a
we-
coordinated.
Let it get it organized.
Because,
Talk to the
because
same-
there, and because there's a lot of exploration that gonna have to be done with the city
Right.
as to what the requirement it is, and indeed, if it is a requirement, some
I
people
thought it
said to me,
was.
well, I think it is too, but,
I thought
we
it
need
was.
to-
I don't think we have a
Timing is
choice.
we need to understand how they're gonna do it, there are
Well,
lots of questions.
Kenny gave me a very brief idea of the issues that Chris is dealing with over here in Gateway, and formulated a lot of questions that we need to get answered.
Mhm.
How we control the whole thing, and they have what is called a metered community. And they don't even know apparently where the valves are to shut off if somebody has a leak in their yard. You can have a water fountain blowing up, and they're paying for all that water. And so there's an awful lot of things.
There are a lot of things that we need.
Marina Bay has already gone that road, I think.
I think-
Yeah.
I understand
So who would be responsible
colonial,
to pay for the water?
pardon me?
Who would be responsible for paying for the water?
Homeowners.
We're gonna be
The homeowner,
responsible.
The HOA or the
That's, I mean,
master?
that's one of many questions. There are.
We
a
don't
ton
have
of
meters
questions.
at every house.
No, we don't. And-
Well, David Caldwell said,
But
put
not-
one meter
not
in
irrigation.
and just
Not for
divide us
irrigation.
between all the homeowners. And I said, you got a country club, you got a town center,
Yeah.
they're all using water.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
and you've got us. We're using water.
Absolutely, I mean, everybody's
Homeowners-
using it.
Homeowners that are seasonal, homeowners that is one person in the house
Yeah.
versus.
Well, the irrigation should be the same
Irrigation-
whether.
The
it's
irrigation is
seasonal
all
or-
handled by
Yeah.
Ameriscape, they do a pretty good
The
job.
other thing is, I need to find out who owns that pond that's the irrigation pond.
Golf course.
because
Golf course.
The golf course owns it. And I understand it's not interconnected with any other pond.
That is correct.
And I understand over in Colonial, they actually put a layer of clay in their pond because you got water coming in, you got evaporating and seeping out. You don't want loss. We're
That's a
paying for
well,
every
that's
ounce
not
that
just
comes
a
in.
pond.
It is connected to
Connected
an
to a well.
aquifer.
Right.
They pump up and down for the
Right.
aquifer.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a big, I don't think you play with
Well-
clay in that.
But once we start buying their gray water, we won't be pumping water out of there, right?
Well, that's the golf
No,
course.
I'm not sure of that either, because I think from I've heard Gateway before, there's a mixture of well water and reclaimed water, is there?
Our irrigation
For years.
system.
I don't know if that's gonna apply to us either. The Southwest Water Management District, I think, has some input into that, so we don't know that. But fact is, if that pond isn't sealed at the bottom, and we're paying for all the water coming in and it's going out the base, we're paying.
Joe, as long as they're pumping up the aquifer, we're not paying a thing.